Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Changing Times and I am Dr. Zubair Khori. Pakistan-India relations have always been of great importance not only for the South Asian region but for the international politics at large. Just recently, there have been a meeting at the sidelines of the Heart of Asia conference between the Pakistani Foreign Secretary and the Indian Foreign Secretary. And with this meeting, there wasn't any high expectations associated, particularly after the two incidents. One that was of Pathankot, and the second incident was a capture of Indian naval officer Kulbhushan Yadav inside Pakistan. And Pakistan raised this issue very, very seriously at all highest level with international diplomats, with the United Nations, and of course with the Indians. So since no breakthrough was expected as the comprehensive dialogue that was named after the visit of the Indian Foreign Minister to Pakistan in the last Heart of Asia meeting, so it was renamed as comprehensive talks after the composite talks, but still nothing is going forward. But on the whole, we have to understand the developments that are happening in Afghanistan and also in the larger context of South Asia, that Pakistan and India should meet at some point in time to iron out their issues, to move forward in this direction, that we cannot remain hostage to the past for a longer period of time. So although it did not give any breakthrough, this meeting, but still something has come out. We will see what are those indicators to move forward. And the guest I have, let me introduce you to them. I have Dr. Muhammad Khan. He is the head of the International Relations Department in National Defense University. Doctor, welcome to the show. And we are also joined by Ms. Salma Malik. She is teaching in Kazim University, Islamabad, in an institute related to the regional politics. Salma Saba, welcome to the show. Doctor, let me start with you. Although no breakthrough came up and it was kind of a stalemate here and nothing is moving forward, but still, should we continue with it, or should we start looking inwards and stop talking to the Indians and okay, that's it, unless you move any further on the Kulbhushan Yadav incident, we are not going to have talks with you?
Thank you very much. Indeed, the best principle of diplomacy that keep talking.
Okay.
Therefore, rather looking inwards and stop talking, I think we should look for the opportunities, ways and means. After all, India will have to come forward in order to resolve the issues. But that doesn't mean that we should stop the doors simultaneously.
Okay.
And yes, as far as the Kulbhushan Yadav is concerned, that's a great incident. That's a great, I would say, that evidence we have today against the India, for which I think we have been looking forward to have a solid evidence, and today we have. During this sidelines of the Heart of Asia conference, definitely, as you said in the remarks, in your opening remarks, that nothing concrete was expected. But even then, I think talking to each other, that was a big step, because the element of trust was lacking between both these countries after Pathankot and thereafter after this Kulbhushan Yadav's incident. But both made a way, and today I remember I just have gone through an article written by A.G. Noorani.
Okay.
He said the crux of his entire write-up was that both sides knew that this is a failure. The talks, this bilateral talk was a failure, but they declared that it's a great opportunity and let's look forward and move forward.
But isn't it the case that particularly after the Mumbai incident and after this Pathankot incident, Indians took a position that we are not going to move forward unless Pakistan is going to do A, B, C, these three things, capture of these things and terrorism curbing inside Pakistan. So they took a moral kind of a high ground. On the other hand, now after this Kulbhushan Yadav incident, we have also taken a kind of a ground. So unless we or both of us escape out of this moral high grounds, we cannot move forward.
Indeed, if you see that this dialogue, here Pakistan also took a position that have you done something about the Samjhauta Express, the incident which took place in 2017 at Panipat? You have not. And moreover, as far as Pathankot is concerned, I think Indian cooperation was very, very limited and restricted. And rather there were some of the preemptions that, okay, now allow our investigating team that they should also visit Pakistan and meet people like Azhar Masood and some his colleagues, something like that. Yes, I agree with you that as far as if the demands are concerned, if you are both parties, if they are talking that they are on the moral high ground and so they will not talk, I think that is going to bring you at a full stop. Then you cannot move forward. There would be the sporadic incidents that would continue, and if those sporadic incidents you become fixated, you adopt a fixated approach, then you cannot move forward.
Okay, let me go to Ms. Salma. Ms. Salma, if this is the situation that both these countries are having those kind of inertia at their ends, then in diplomatic parlance, what's fun, what's enjoyment in all these meetings? Is it just meeting for the sake of meeting, this exchange of people, having some excursion tours of Delhi and Islamabad and then go back home? What's wrong with the people of both countries?
That's actually a very fascinating question. I wish both the sides knew what's wrong with us, but I think we know each other a bit too much. So it's kind of that predictability that is set in, and that's that famous Zartman theory of mutually hurting stalemate, from where we don't tend to move any forward or backwards. Rather, it is a backward movement rather than a forward movement. Yes. So that's a very unfortunate tendency. But you see, the Yadav capture is not something which is totally unprecedented. As you people may recall, there have been in the past couple of very high-profile spies who have been caught and who have been imprisoned. Recently, one of them passed away in one of Pakistani jails, and so on and so forth.
But
nothing much came out of it.
No, people say that there's a difference, that these were the spies who were controlled by the handlers somewhere sitting outside. So this person is an acting serving officer.
He is the handler himself.
Yeah, he is the handler
and
himself.
He has a network of people working for him.
So that's a difference between the two.
That's a different thing. Totally true. But the very fact is that Pakistan has been talking about such an enterprise from a very long time, not only to the Indians, but to the international audience as well. And nobody is willing to listen. And the same tendency appears at this moment as well. Has anyone really clipped India on its hand? No one has done that. No one has really turned around and said, finally Pakistan stands vindicated. So that's a pretty tragic situation. Although Pakistan has taken an ethical stand on Samjhota and Pakistan has taken an ethical stand on Yadav's issue as well, plus the fact that we, from the minute, unfortunately, when Pathankot happened, we offered our good offices that our investigative team is going to be there. If someone is to be blamed in Pakistan, we are going to capture him.
The case has been registered.
And everything is going by the book. But they are not willing to play the same tune because they have it in their mind, a preconceived thing that let's keep on playing with time, and so long as the time is at our hand and the international tide is with us, so we can buy as much as time, as much as space as possible. And unfortunately, a lot of times Pakistan appears desperate. Here I'm saying appears desperate. We are not desperate, but we appear desperate to make amends. We appear desperate to make friends with India, and Pakistanis have faced a lot of negative domestic press as a result of
Many people are saying that Pakistan is bending over its back
totally
to make amends with them. But don't you think that the point that you have just raised, the international tide is with them, as they're boasting of their economy, they're boasting of the democracy, they're boasting of the secularism, and of course they have a stronger economy than Pakistan. So isn't it the case that our diplomacy is not running on that much stronger trends as the Indians is?
Dr. Zubair, I would say that it's not only the diplomacy alone that matters. I mean, you cannot really play a trumpet in a vacuum. You have to have solid indicators around you, and introspectively, if we look, we are going there, but we are still not at that point. There is this forthcoming May 8th meeting of Prime Minister Modi with President Obama, and the press in America is saying, how will China and Pakistan take it? And they're having a real, you know, kind of a cheesy taste out of it, that let's see how we tease them, let's see how we antagonize these two parties. But the very fact is that our first priority as we are working on it is to curb terrorism. And one aspect of terrorism is definitely linked up with India. So that's where the internal and external dynamics link up.
Since you have talked about the upcoming visit of Prime Minister Modi to United States of America, but this recent offer from the American side that they are going to sell us the erstwhile sale completed of the F-16, and it was apparent from the moves of President Obama that he is going to bulldoze all the obstacles, and the F-16 will be in Pakistan's custody in X number of months now. But just today's newspaper is saying something else, that they have denied the previous deal that some part of that money will be offered to Pakistan as maybe a donation or maybe as a loan. But now they have backed out and said that all the $70 billion Pakistan have to pay upfront. Okay. Is it the case linked with the Modi's upcoming visit?
Indeed, you must be remembering that once America was adamant, despite some of the opposition and despite the concern of India for the sale of these F-16. Yeah. And all Americans, particularly I would say that Obama administration, they were optimistic about this sale. And today, as you said that in the newspaper, in the Americans news particularly, this is very, very, indeed the whole story is that America was to sell these F-16 to Pakistan at subsidized rates. Yeah. And remaining amount was to be
given as aid.
It was, yes, and that was to be compensated from. This is financing the foreign militaries for that matter. And the plea with the American was that since Pakistani army, Pakistani armed forces, the security forces, they are doing a lot. And doing a lot in combating the extremism and the terrorism. Yeah. And this,
so they need it.
These F-16, they need it. And this was a strong plea, I would say. Even Richard Arslan, who was the ambassador of the Pakistan, he is the representative, special representative of Pakistan and Afghanistan, American president's special representative. He even gave a statement yesterday, and he said that sale of these F-16 to Pakistan is in the best national interest of the United States of America. Okay. But despite that, the people like Senator Crocker, I suppose, he said that no, this is not going to happen.
But everybody knows Crocker is representing which lobby?
Definitely, he is representing a particular lobby, and that lobby is heavily being donated indeed and funded by our eastern neighbor. And he said that the main objection, what I could see between the line, that Pakistan is still taking care of Haqqani network, and Haqqani network has not been utilized the way others have been. Whereas what we have after the commencement of Operation Zerb that there is no friend. As far as the terrorists are concerned, they are being taken, they are being dealt equally. And I think no space is there for the Haqqani network. I think this is an excuse, and you can have many excuses.
But don't you think this excuse is only related with the visit of Modi?
I'm sure, yes, of course, they have their strategic interest, they have their economic interest, and this visit is India landmark visit, and the first official visit. Earlier, the meetings have been with various contexts on the sidelines of UN General Assembly or something like that, but this is the first official visit of the Modi. And they have to make lot of, I would say that
some concessions are to be there.
That's what.
Okay, let me go to Sarma. If this is a one-time concession, maybe that since he is to be going to be around in Washington and other diplomatic circles, and the lobbies need to be satisfied because, as Dr. was mentioning, a lot of money is going in the form of donations. So this one excuse, maybe one time, once he is back in India, in Delhi, then Pakistan can once again present its case?
I really don't think so. It entirely depends. Again, as you're talking about the lobbies have very, very strong permanent interests, and they're also not looking at how Obama administration deals with Modi. What they're basically looking is the future administration.
But Obama was countering that lobby for the last 4 or 5 months.
It was, but there it is. Okay. And at the same time, you see, it's the money factor that goes with it. The amount of money that is going to come to the bankrupted American economy is a huge thing. So they're not technically saying no to Pakistan, but at the same time, what they're saying is that asking for money. So technically, it's a yes and a no both. Because they know Pakistan may not be able to foot the bill, so it would be a very polite no for them. But the very fact is that India has higher stakes, and India was from very first day creating a lot of hue and cry about Pakistan's these F-16 purchases or F-16 giving to Pakistan situation. So I guess it's really up to appeasing them. And then what kind of lobby work has gone deeply into this entire exercise and how successful that has been, we have seen the end result of that. And if we take this again process a little bit further and we look at how the elections are going to unfold and the type of candidates who are weighing for it, even if we say of Saunders or Hillary Clinton, again they were and they have warmed
Yeah.
up a lot to the Indian lobby.
My
than to
perception is
Pakistan.
this, I don't want to disagree with this
Sure.
because that is apparent, but my perception is this is one-time arrangement, and once Modi will be back, they will again reconsider this point.
we
Okay, we
can-
may offer half of you,
Yeah,
half to you,
we
and
can
that.
pitch the case, but
Yeah.
that entirely depends. Can
But
we really do it?
don't you think that this visit is in the very dying hours of Obama administration, 8 long years, and perhaps people may not be taking his decisions as a strategic level at this moment? Because we are in June, by the end of May, and this whole campaign is going to conclude in June as far as the representation is concerned. So he may not be able to take any strategic
It
decision.
kind of reminds me of Clinton's farewell call to Delhi when he was leaving.
Yeah.
So it's more
So nobody
like
was
that.
taking him seriously.
No one was taking him seriously, but you see, he left that legacy of strategic partnership in the 123
Yeah.
agreement, which continues to date with whatever hiccups that are happening. So let's see what Modi and Obama bring out of the rabbits that they bring out of the hat. So then we have another 8 years to talk about.
Dr. Your take on this, that this visit is that much important as many people are considering? For me, it may be just a farewell call in many respects.
You know that American foreign policy or American policies, they are not only controlled by the sitting presidents, but indeed this is a continuation. As Salman said, that if we talk about the strategic partnership between the United States and India, its initiation was somewhere in 2003, where they declared each other that American particularly, I remember Condoleezza Rice as saying that India is our natural ally.
Natural ally.
And strategic partnership and all that. And thereafter the things are continuing. And
once such statements were given in favor of Pakistan as well when the Russians were there. That Pakistan are the natural allies and things like
and
that.
even after 9/11,
After 9/11, we became non-NATO member.
But you know that America, for the Europeans, the stakes in New Delhi, they are higher than what the stakes in Pakistan. And indeed, Indians, they made their position right from 1947 or right from 1949 when Nehru refused to be part of the capitalist bloc. And there is their stakes and there is the value also. And they feel that Pakistan can be persuaded at any time. So Pakistan will be following the
always
lines.
available.
Yeah, that's what it is. In the case of the India, perhaps there are the Indians. They have their own dictates. They never follow the U.S. dictates all the time. But in our case, in most of time in our history, we followed the dictates from the Washington. So these are some other issues. Then there is a strategic dimension and there is an economic dimension of U.S. relationship with India. Strategic dimension, you know that it is a great country which can contain the rising power of the China, and no, India is being given us a rule of in the Asia Pacific also, and that was somewhere in 2010 and 2011 where Hillary Clinton was very particular pushing the India toward the Asia Pacific. Then as far as the economy is concerned, economically it's a huge market for the US.
7+ growth.
This is what it is. Indeed, they are looking ahead. They are looking in the future. Perhaps they are not finding such a future in Islamabad.
Yeah, but the point here is this meeting. Can we see a ray of hope in this whole darkness as for the diplomatic concern between US and India, that definitely Pak-India talk are going to come into consideration between these talks? And since it was associated, maybe right or wrong, the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Lahore last year in December, that somehow Americans also used their clout to influence him to visit Pakistan, to shed some of the problems here. Again, this may be a point that can get some thaw in these freezing relations?
If you see that the pattern of dialogue between India and the Pakistan, or somehow the diplomatic roles between India and the Pakistan has always been influenced by United States of America or the European Union. You must be remembering 2001, 2002, once there was mobilization of forces from both sides. And it was
almost at the brink of war.
And US played, I would say, the great role in avoiding really a warlike situation. Later on, once India was adamant to accept Kashmir as an issue, and then President Musharraf came with a formula of 4-phase approach, then 4-point formula and all that. And perhaps that had some of the backing in order to at least move forward once the comprehensive dialogue was renewed in 2004. And today, as you said initially, that India is now proposing there should be a
comprehensive
sorry,
dialogue.
it was composite, and now it is a comprehensive dialogue.
Comprehensive dialogue, as Sushma Swaraj put it.
That's right. But unfortunately, neither the composite dialogue nor the comprehensive
It's a
dialogue
non-starter.
could made a headway.
Okay, but Salma, now there is a tendency between India and Pakistan, although India has been focusing that there should be bilateral talks on all outstanding issues. But I have seen that in most of the meetings that the Pakistani Indians are meeting, they are meeting on some international fora, like this Heart of Asia, maybe the South Asian Summit is coming in Pakistan, like the UN sidelines or the oath-taking ceremony of Prime Minister Modi. So where is that bilateral talk now?
Bilateral talk means a lot of media presence, a lot of looking at the semantics, the gestures, the small talk, who takes the first step forward, that type of stuff. And I think I don't really feel that Pakistan is not ready for it, but India shies away from bilateral engagements because they feel that in case they have a bilateral engagement and they end up committing something, it's totally going to backfire. And the way they have built the Pakistan case, it has become such a big monster for them that they can't even gulp it down. They have to come up with something negative to sell to the domestic audience, whereas in Pakistan, we are pretty okay with that. Yes, we do have a very hardliner lobby as well, but at the same time,
Hard and ferocious.
Hard and ferocious, very ferocious at the same time. I think that's the right word for it. But in India, the percentage of this hard-lined, ferocious lobby is far greater than in Pakistan. In fact, even their moderates are ferocious when it comes to this. So for them, it's very easy.
How do you come to this underline that even the moderates are that much more hardliners than the Pakistanis?
They're more ferocious regarding Pakistan.
Once you interact with your counterparts in India, I'm sure being an academic, you have been interacting with them at various fora. How do you see them? Are they feeling any optimism?
Luckily, some of the people one comes across are your like-minded types. So they do feel that the type of policies their country is pursuing is counterproductive, both domestically as well as internationally and regionally. So that speaks for it. But the lobby, the academic lobby, as well as the think tank lobby, which is anti-Pakistan, is far greater than in percentage than the ones who favor Pakistan or who speak about Pakistan. A lot of them, hardly anyone has ever visited Pakistan. They don't know about Pakistan, so it's very easy for them to build analysis on their perceptions and on the thought processes that are generating from the home front. So it is a very staunch anti-Pakistan lobby.
But Dr. Sab, if we start looking inwards, in the recent development that is happening in Afghanistan, that Pakistan's role is kind of being sidelined when the Taliban have refused to continue with the talks, although there have been reports just yesterday that a 4-member or the 3-member delegation from the Qatari Taliban have reached Pakistan to iron out some of the things, but they have flatly refused. So Pakistan's role inside Afghanistan is a kind of mitigated. And on the other hand, there have been a recent meeting inside Iran on the issue of Chabahar between India, Iran, and Afghanistan, and they are going to go ahead as far as the Central Asian reserves are concerned to use the Chabahar port, and that may be bypassing Pakistan between India and Central Asian republics. On the other hand, you see the Indian Prime Minister is having an aggressive attitude. He just visited Pakistan's long-term friend Saudi Arabia, and the reception that he received there was unprecedented. He was given the Civil Award as well. And now he's going to United States of America. Do you think that this is a kind of an effort, aggressive effort to put pressure on Pakistan's diplomatic efforts?
I would say that both on the diplomatic front as well as on the strategic front, India has gained over the period of time. For example, we were looking that whether we should be siding with the Saudi Arabia or Iran, but practically if you see, that despite India was part of those countries who claimed sanction on Iran from 2005 to till last year, and despite India enjoyed a very, very good relationship with Tehran. And
they have increased 3 times import of the oil from Iran.
That's nice.
The largest importer of Irani oil.
Apart from the Chabahar and many other assistance. Then go over to Saudi Arabia. About the Saudi Arabia giving Modi the biggest civil award for that matter, and Modi Amen, who is considered to be that he is a killer of the Muslims, around 3,000 Muslims. What type of award then? Saudi
Butcher of Gujarat, as they say.
Muslims, of course, the Gujarat. So things indeed, these are the diplomatic overtures. These are indeed the diplomatic gains, and people they feel in the Middle East. And if you just see that how the people of India they are in the Middle East, the bulk
largest
number, and the Pakistanis those initially contributed toward the uplift of entire Middle East. Maybe it is Saudi Arabia or the GCC countries. Yes. Perhaps we have been relegated in everything, in the local jobs, in the academia, and everything. I think Pakistanis they are being sidelined. India gained in this entire process. To come over to the basic question you asked that about Afghanistan.
Look inwards.
About the Afghanistan. I think there is a big change as far as the tone and tenor of Afghan president is concerned. Yeah. He was considered to be a very, very moderate, very, very docile president.
Dove looking.
That's nice. And having very good approach toward the Pakistan. But unfortunately the statement he gave in the parliament and the words were very, very categoric that in a way it was a threatening call. Yeah. He said that Pakistan has to fulfill its promises. And those promises are that Pakistan should take military action against the Taliban, those who are in the Pakistani soil. If not, then we are going to go to United Nations Security Council, where I think diplomatic effort would be there and Pakistan would be this and that. And this all has happened despite the fact that in last Heart of Asia conference, Pakistan was given a role. And the role was that Pakistan is going to bring the Taliban back on the negotiating table. Pakistan accepted that and Pakistan was making a lot of effort. Our foreign minister, I mean the advisor to the Prime Minister on Foreign Affairs, he was very, very categoric. And indeed Pakistan made lot of efforts.
But Dr. Point here is with all these things, if everything is going wrong around us in Afghanistan, in Iran, in India, in Saudi Arabia, is it a point to ponder, look inwards, or we should blame our stars?
Dr. Saab, the issue is very serious. The Indian politics, the Indian politician, the Indian, I would say that Prime Minister and the ministers, they are looking around their diplomatic efforts, they are looking around all over the world in order to cash on. The opportunities are available. Whereas we are looking inward and fighting among ourselves. We are bothered about our own governments. We are not concerned about what the diplomatic efforts we have to make, but the political gains we have to make at the global level. Perhaps we are inward looking, they are outward looking. They are gaining, we are losing with each passing day. And let's be very open to say that our diplomatic efforts have not been so well. People, those who are talking in the New Delhi, that know how to come closer to each other. I mean, our diplomats met few days back by a famous television channel. They gave lot of proposal that how to move forward, do this and that. Perhaps they did not do that in their active service. No, after their retirement, perhaps they are looking for an approachment between.
It's easier to be wise after the event.
That's nice.
But if I go to Ms. Salma, this dip of Pakistan's clout or influence in the regional politics, as you agree, may not agree that there's a dip or not, but if you agree that there's a dip, the cause is the policies, the cause is the internal dynamics, or is cause is the just tactics that Dr. Saab has just pointed out the Foreign Office is not playing well?
I think a mix of all three. Primarily, we need to build a vision, we need to build a policy, and the policy has to be a very proactive policy, and we have to actually see what we want, where we want ourselves in the next 10 to 20 years plus. At the moment, we just look at a couple of countries through which our basic necessity or the oxygen is passing, and that's it. Our policy doesn't really go beyond that.
Okay.
One thing. Second factor is when you talk to those who are into foreign policy making, they keep on saying that, oh no, we are doing firefighting, it's the other organization which is doing it in this particular job, which is basically not in task to do such things. So it's kind of an ad hocish policy, and the blame gaming keeps on moving from one place to another. But Pakistanis need to realize that we are at a very, very critical junction, and the very fact that we have lost solid ground in leverage when it came to the Taliban situation. Just look at ourselves a year and a half back, December 2014, a defining moment, a very, very terrible tragedy for Pakistan, which brought so much of positive press internationally for Pakistan that we could have done anything for ourselves. And we lost that opportunity. And who stands to lose on it? India doesn't, Afghanistan doesn't, Saudi Arabia, Iran doesn't. only Pakistan does. So I think we need to really take into account what are our priorities, what do we really need to do with our country, how do we want to make those visions felt, and move accordingly.
But you say that it's a mix of both. Of course, you have, but largely you talk about the strategic thing. But what about this actual act of selling, the perception management, the media management, the information management?
Everything has to
We have
work.
failed miserably in this?
We have. Everything has to work hand in glove. I mean, people who've come to Pakistan, they realize that it's not a country of shanty towns.
Yeah.
And they say, oh my God, this is such a well-developed country. We never knew about Pakistan. So where is that marketing strategy of Pakistan? I know you're not talking about that. You're talking about a larger situation. But still, I'm really going into the micro picture.
Yeah, that's a part of
Pakistan has a lot of positive assets. We just don't exploit it. Unfortunately, the terrorism, Frankenstein tends to overtake every positive dynamic that we have. But it's not that Pakistan is an only country infested with insurgencies or problems. India has its fair
Every
share
country
of
has their own
insurgency.
set of problems.
Everyone has
but
their
Dr.
fair share of problems.
If I come to you, as you have said that it is the political government which is responsible, but may I say that it's maybe the defense establishment which is also particularly involved in the making of policy. They can't stand outside as far as Afghanistan and India is concerned. So they may also have some responsibility to share as well. But I'm just trying to say that as far as the media management, the perception management, the diplomatic management, do you think that we are not lagging far behind? We do need to have some experts really going out of their way to project Pakistan's case?
Indeed, the question is of Pakistan. And
we all are involved.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
It's everybody's there. And once I say everybody, I think the diplomats, they are the civilians. The diplomats, mostly they are the career diplomats or politically appointees. I think they can do a lot. But as Salma said, in order to do that, perhaps we need to have a vision.
Yeah.
And we have to outline that what in next 5 years Pakistan is going to do and where are the interests of the Pakistan are concerned. As far as the making of the formulation of the foreign policy is concerned, whereas all departments, including the defense, they have their role.
Yes.
But indeed, the implementation is
there.
You need to have at least a young, dynamic, and you can say that who can pursue a full-time foreign minister of the Pakistan.
Let me share with you this, that there has been an internal fight going on in the Ministry of Information for the last 6 years for the posting of the Pakistani press officers abroad. 3 of the posts have already been cut down, and this has become, a file is going from pillar to post between the minister's office to the prime minister's office, who is going to go, who is not going to go, and this whole Pakistan's diplomatic effort is compromised.
That's nice. This is what I'm telling you, that indeed we have to set our priorities right. Until and unless we do that, then there are unfortunately personal influences. Then the relation, the kins and all that, the families which we have to make. Let's forget all these things and move forward in order to protect the national interest of the Pakistan, the interest of the Pakistan. Just imagine that after there was a, you can say that there was a loophole, unfortunately after when Saudi Arabia and the GCC countries, they requested for the assistance in the Yemen campaign. Pakistan refused that. That was not the way we should have done that.
Okay.
There would have been the better way of saying no. But what happened then? Then Modi was...
Perhaps you are saying that the decision was good, but the way it was made...
At least we should have adopted the diplomatic ways and means in order to convince them that we will support you once there is attack on some of the vital areas. But until and unless there is some threat really in the physical term,
okay,
how can you ask us?
Let me ask this question. We have been talking about the problem that we are facing, and it's good to have soul searching. But in the establishment or in the higher policy making circles, does this thing go to the down that we are making something wrong? We're doing something wrong?
I think this is...
Or we are just having this thing that we are the good, we are the best, and nothing is problematic around us?
I think these are the false impression. The truth is that we have not been able to project the positive contributions of the Pakistan. Only negative contributions, or I would say that those are the negative fallouts that the world is known about the Pakistan. The international media, particularly the intellectual class or the academic class, they know about the Pakistan. Once they visit the Pakistan, they see the Pakistan, they see that what a lovely country, the great people, the peace-loving people are there. And unfortunately, we have not been projecting that.
Okay.
It is our media also,
Yeah.
it is our politicians also. And I would say that our diplomatic core has badly failed.
Okay, but Salma, if you look at this recent visit of Prime Minister Rouhani to Pakistan, many people think that it was a lost chance. Because President Rouhani came to Pakistan on the heels of Pakistan's decision on Yemen and Pakistan's contribution in the 34 countries alliance, and also on the heels of the lifting of bans against the Iranians. So, but unfortunately, this news of Kulbhushan Yadav was broken on the very same day when he was here. Do you agree with this point that it was a lost opportunity?
I guess to a certain extent, in a sense that we shouldn't have overplayed the Yadav card, at least with the Iranian president, especially when the situation is precarious. Another viewpoint is that, well, because Yadav was operating between Pakistan and Iranian Balochistan, so it was fair enough that we had done it. They stood complicit and all. But the very fact, the point that you raise here, that it was an Iranian president's visit after such a long time. And we have a lot of bridge building to do with Iran. You see, our sectarian divide is extremely, extremely precarious, and it's balanced on how we work our relationship out with Saudi Arabia and Iran. But it actually totally conveyed the message that Pakistan is completely tilted towards Saudi Arabia and we have nothing to do with Iran. Pakistan should not do that because Iran is our next door neighbor. And we've had some excellent terms with Iran. Iran actually offered us what we keep on talking about, vis-a-vis Afghanistan, the strategic debt during the 1965 as well as the 1971 war. And no other country has ever done that.
So you're talking about the Shah's era before
Shah's era, Shah's era, of course. But then, of course, these relations nosedived. But it doesn't matter. I mean, those relations that nosedived, that they can be revived as well. We do look at India, China doing such good diplomacy that I think if you don't want to look at India, fair enough, we can at least look at our mentor China, our all-weather friend China, the way they do diplomacy, the way they ignore things that can be ignored for the time and then be conveyed in a very tacit manner and in a very appropriate situation and time.
Dr. Sab, if I may bring your attention to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and this time, perhaps in November, this meeting is going to be held in one of the Central Asian republics, and Pakistan is going to be the permanent member or the active member of that. And Indians will also be the active member. Do you think that this forum can be an additional opportunity for us to exploit our case?
Sure. Reason being that unfortunately the SAARC could not do what we expected, but because of its charter and all that, we lost the opportunity. India and the Pakistan, they both lost to resolve their issues and all that. Shanghai Cooperation Organization indeed is dominated by China and Russia. Both these countries, they are for the time being, they are in the anti-bloc of United States of America. India is such a country that it is being considered very, very vital by United States of America as well as by Russia and the China. Then it is part of the BRIC also. So in that respect, I think India has its stakes more in this part of the world, rather I think toward the west and across the transatlantic. So the organization definitely is going to play a positive role in order to dilute at time, I would say, that adversarial relationship or at time.
And when the Indians are looking to exploit the resources in the Central Asian republics through Iran, and through the Chabahar border, they are not going to utilize the Afghanistan route.
I think if that's the case, you already mentioned that if there is a troika or either 4 countries, they are cooperating in that aspect. I think yes, Chabahar is one of the opportunity, but the shortest route and the most suited route is, again, it is through Pakistan, that is Pakistan, Afghanistan.
But they say that if Pakistan is not coming to, so what should we do?
Definitely there would be a time. I mean, this CPEC is one such a project. Perhaps for the time being it is between China and the Pakistan, but ultimately in order to have better benefits and greater advantages, ultimately India has to be incorporated. So I think India should also adopt a policy which should be friendly for the region, for the Pakistan, rather than very, very offensive and adversarial.
One last thought, Salma, from your side. The SAARC, as Dr. Saab was mentioning, that it may be a dead horse, but this year Pakistan is going to host the SAARC annual conference. Any hopes for that?
Nothing as such when it comes to the main SAARC conference or the summit by itself, but definitely let's see how the sideline meetings work out.
By the way, as far as the finances are concerned, Pakistan is the second largest contributor after India. Roughly 27% Pakistan contributes. It's a huge money that is going in.
That is, but at the same time, you've also visited the SAARC secretariats, one of the poorest and least functioning secretariats of any regional organization ever made. So I guess that's a pretty bad tragedy. That reflects what SAARC is all about. But the very fact is that it is non-controversial for the sake of it. But one last point is that where Pakistan has been given yet another excellent opportunity in the shape of CPEC, as Dr. Sab was mentioning, I don't think there is too much of an academic study into CPEC's potential. And you just have to see the volume of studies which are coming out from India
on CPEC.
Or even the US about the One Belt, One Road, CPEC, the potential, the controversies, everything that goes with it.
Yes,
so I think we need
sometimes
to do a
I
lot
was thinking to have a caucus on this, maybe.
Yeah, we need to
diplomatic
do a lot
or
of
academic
homework
caucus.
on our,
right. But I'm sorry, I'm running short of time. Dr. Sab, thank you very much. And Salman, thank you very much for joining us on this very interesting discussion. But ladies and gentlemen, there is an understanding that Pakistan needs to gear up its efforts as far as the regional politics is concerned, and we have to reach out to the international audiences to showcase our case in a more positive, in a more sophisticated manner. There is a clear understanding in the Pakistani intelligentsia that the Indians may be taking the lead at the moment. This lead may be marginal at this moment, but this lead can be multiplied, can be increased in many ways. So this is the time perhaps for all of us to forget about these things, and we have to invest more in our management as far as the international media and perception is concerned. Your suggestions and feedback are more than welcome at facebook.com/Dr. Zubair Ghori official, and my Twitter handle is Dr. Zubair Ghori. That's all from us tonight. A very good night. Allah Hafiz.